An inexperienced student accidentally connects to a pleasure doll and must sleep with the robot to test its functionality. Otherwise he will end up with a $50 million debt. As simple as it may seem, the fact that he's a virgin and afraid of women starts to complicate things. One morning, Heath finds a large box near his front door from Jean-Claude's lab. After bringing it inside the house, the box suddenly starts vibrating, and Heath wonders what it might contain. He then opens it and, while carefully searching through the packaging, his hand touches a woman's chest. He squeezes the object to make sure, but a hand grabs his wrist. The scared teenager steps back as a beautiful, scantily clad woman appears from the box. She introduces herself in Japanese as Anna and says she'll do whatever he wants. Overwhelmed, his gas reflex kicks in. A reflex that occurs whenever he's excited. He rushes out of the house and runs into Uncle John, a scientist and friend of his father. The man frantically asks him if he opened the package and touched the robot's chest. Before he can answer, Anna catches up to him and starts touching his body suggestively. John asks him to say the code word to temporarily deactivate the robot. A few minutes later, he explains that Anna is a prototype pleasure doll, powered by an AI program that his father and he developed. He specifies that the robot was sent to the house for his father to test, as they plan to present it to investors. But now that his father has passed away and Heath has connected to the robot, the scientist can't take it back. Confused, he asks what he should do. John tells him he must sleep with the robot to prove to the investors that it works. Faced with his refusal, John reveals that they will have to repay the $50 million in that case. He assures him that he only has to do it once with Anna and all their problems will be solved. However, the teenager remembers a moment in the school bathroom when a student touched him and said she'd like to do it with him. Unfortunately, his gas reflex made her run away, and two classmates mock him for not living up to his father's reputation. John hands him the user manual and reminds him to change the language to size so the doll and he can communicate. As he leaves, the man checks his tablet and sees the teenager reading the manual. A few minutes later, he rubs Anna's back to access her settings and manages to change the language to size. He asks her how much battery she has left. Anna then shows him the value of 95% written inside her thigh. When he asks if she can deplete her energy by engaging in intense activity, the robot responds affirmatively. He then orders her to perform several different exercises. Suddenly, she displays that she only has 5% energy left before shutting down. He approaches the doll and finds that she's overheating. He then covers her with a blanket and gets dressed to go to school. After he leaves, John sneaks into the house to install a more durable battery in Anna. He then programs the doll to go pick up Heath at high school. She sprints towards the school, and everyone she passes is amazed by her beauty. In the classroom, his friends, Penguin, Pop, and Lisa, are discussing their film project. Suddenly, Anna enters the room, forcing the embarrassed student to introduce her as his cousin. Penguin and Pop, immediately smitten, ask the woman if she's an actress or model. Meanwhile, Lisa wonders with annoyance why he never mentioned Anna, even though they've been friends since childhood. Heath says he has to go home. Anna tells him to hop on her back and takes her home. At home, he asks her how she recharged her battery. Anna replies that Jean replaced her battery. When he asks her where her battery is, she starts unbuttoning her blouse, so he asks her to stop. Suddenly, Lisa catches them and says she knew she wasn't really his cousin. Anna suddenly spreads her legs to show them where her battery is. Heath explains the situation to his friend, who suggests having Pop or Penguin sleep with the robot. However, he explains that Anna is equipped with a protection system. Skeptical, Lisa tries to touch the doll's chest but gets shocked. That night, Anna tries to sleep with Heath, calculating there's a 75% chance it will happen. However, when she slips under the covers to give him pleasure, her stomach malfunctions again. The next day, Jean realizes he will need help to encourage Heath to gain confidence with women. So he calls on Sang Dao, a retired adult film star, to teach their old friend's son this globally recognized skill in love. Later in the day, Sang Dao arrives at Heath's home, and all the men she meets are left speechless as she passes by. In the living room, the woman gets emotional discussing Heath's late father. She then asks him if he still gets gassy when he's excited, which he confirms. Sang Dao then asks him to repeat affirmation phrases to encourage him not to be afraid of being with a woman, before taking his hands and placing them on her chest. Suddenly, Anna jumps out from behind the couch and karate chops the woman. Sang Dao tells him to call her whenever he needs advice, being careful not to touch her, fearing the robot might hit her again. As she leaves, she calls Jean to inform him that she failed in her mission. That's when Lisa arrives, made up and dressed in a lighter uniform. The friends have to make a film about the dangers of pleasurable activities before marriage. Later, the group goes to Heath's, who already has his late father's studio equipment, and he begs Lisa not to reveal to the others the true nature of Anna. At the door, they see Sang Dao. In the workshop, she states that she doesn't understand why it's necessary to promote the absence of enjoyable activities before marriage. Suddenly, Heath declares that he should probably end today's meeting because he feels the others aren't taking the project seriously. That night, Anna urges him to sleep with her, but he ignores her advances and focuses on his homework. The next evening, she wears a black outfit with leather straps and seduces Heath again. She then notes that the probability of him making love is 88%, so he thinks he should try. However, her aggressive approach causes him to finish sooner than expected, and he leaves the room embarrassed. The next day, Pop brings drinks to their group meeting. Later, Lisa tells Heath that she doesn't feel well and wants to lie down on his bed, and Heath takes her to his room. When Anna gets up to join them, Pop stops her and tells her to stay. He explains that Lisa and it always flirt when they've had too much to drink and tells her she can stay with him. In the bedroom, Lisa pins it on the bed and starts unbuttoning her blouse. He asks her to stop and tells her they're just friends. But she continues to move her face closer to his. Pop tells Anna that Hit likes women who drink, so she grabs the bottle and drinks it. The liquid causes a malfunction and freezes her on the spot. From his lab, Jean is alerted that someone else is touching the robot, so he calls Hit. In the bedroom, he pushes Lisa away and answers the call. Jean tells him to find Anna immediately. Because if someone else touches her, her protection system might kill the person. Fortunately, he arrives in time to save her from her friend. He accuses Pop of only thinking about hooking up with girls all the time. Pop argues that it's normal for him to have desires when faced with a beautiful woman, and that his refusal to do so is strange. He then reveals to him that Anna is a robot, and Pop says he'll find out if he doesn't want her. Angry, he asks his friend for 50 million baht, which he would happily give. Realizing Anna heard him, he apologizes, but she cries and slaps him. Outside, Anna sobs and wishes she didn't feel sad emotions. She then runs into the street where a vehicle hits her. Jean informs him that the robot's motherboard was severely damaged and that he needs to take her back to the lab. He adds that in repairing the damage, her memory will likely be erased and she won't remember him at all. Later, Lisa and Penguin encourage Tite to save Anna, and they head to Jean's lab. Heath asks if there's another way to restore her memory, and Jean replies that it's brainwaves that allow a person to dive into their deepest memories. While in his memory, he finds Anna unconscious, lying on a bed. He tells her that even though they've only known each other for a short time, he's grateful she came into his life. He begs her to wake up so he can apologize for the hurtful words he said. To his great surprise, their plan works, and Anna wakes up and hugs him. A few days later, Anna and he still haven't managed to make love. But Heath no longer has to worry about the 50 million debt he took over, because an American producer contacted him to buy the rights to all his father's films. Now, Anna and he spend all their time together, truly enjoying each other's company.